What if the next trillionaire in human history is not born on Earth, but on another planet?
A future where Mars is not a dream, but the birthplace of unimaginable wealth.
Every great wealth in history was born from a new frontier: oceans, land, and now, space.
So the question is not if Mars will be colonized, but who will control it.
Because whoever arrives first on Mars will not just build cities, they will build power itself. And that could create the first trillionaire in human history.
Because this is no longer exploration. It is competition for ownership of a new world.
Every rocket launch is not just science. And behind every mission, there is a question no one is asking out loud. Who will profit when Mars becomes a new economy?
Because history always rewards the first movers. Those who control new worlds control new wealth.
And Mars may become the first place where a single decision creates trillion-dollar power.
Mars is not just a planet. It is the beginning of a completely new economic universe. Everything on Mars must be built from zero: energy, water, food, and shelter.
On Mars, whoever controls resources will control survival itself. In such a world, early systems become permanent monopolies. And every system built first becomes the foundation of an entire civilization.
And whoever controls that foundation controls the future wealth of Mars. Beneath the surface of Mars lies something far more valuable than gold.
Iron, nickel, and frozen water, these are not just materials on Mars. They are the foundation of power.
If one system controls water on Mars, it controls life itself. Control the resource, and you control the price of survival.
And in such a system, power does not belong to governments. It belongs to those who build first. And whoever controls Mars' resources controls the foundation of an entire civilization. On Mars, those who build infrastructure first control everything that comes after.
When infrastructure is owned privately, governance begins to change its form. Corporations that build survival systems may also become the ones that define rules of life.
Power in Mars will not come from money, but from control of systems that sustain life.
And in that moment, a new kind of empire begins to form on Mars.
Once Mars becomes stable, a new kind of trade will begin between two worlds. Every shipment between Earth and Mars becomes a chain of power and dependency.
But Earth money may not survive this new interplanetary system.
A new form of currency may rise, tied not to gold, but to survival itself.
Extreme environments will force humanity to innovate faster than ever before. And this is how Mars becomes the foundation of the first interplanetary economy.
The race to Mars is no longer imagination.
Private companies are not exploring Mars.
They are positioning themselves to own it. The vision of becoming a multi-planetary species is no longer science fiction. It is strategy. Every structure built on Mars defines who will control its future economy.
Whoever controls infrastructure controls decision-making on Mars.
And in that moment, control over Mars begins to define control over the future. Building on Mars is not like building on Earth. Every gram of material must be delivered through space.
Everything on Mars must first travel millions of kilometers before it even becomes useful.
On Mars, every resource is rare, and scarcity creates extreme value. When scarcity meets control, monopoly becomes inevitable.
Whoever builds the systems first becomes impossible to replace.
And from extreme cost rises extreme control over a new world. As Mars develops, a new question emerges. Who actually controls the planet?
Governments may start the journey, but corporations may end up controlling the outcome.
First infrastructure owners may become the permanent rulers of Mars' economy. As systems grow, governance begins to merge with infrastructure.
In closed environments like Mars, monopoly is not an exception. It is the rule. And slowly, Mars begins to shape a new kind of power structure beyond Earth.
And after all the systems, all the control, and all the expansion, a new question emerges.
Who will control the systems that keep Mars alive? Because on Mars, control over life support is control over everything.
And whoever controls that system will control a fortune beyond Earth's imagination.
This is how empires are not born on Earth.
And that is where the first trillionaire in human history may be born. Control in Mars is no longer physical. It is systemic.
When life depends on a system, whoever owns it owns survival.
And in closed worlds, monopoly is not created. It is inevitable.
Every system built on Mars becomes a permanent layer of civilization.
And whoever controls civilization systems controls unimaginable wealth.
And this is where the first trillionaire of human history may finally be born.
But the story does not end with one trillionaire. It only begins there.
Because control over Mars begins to influence decisions back on Earth.
For the first time in history, power may not belong to Earth anymore.
Human civilization is no longer bound to one planet. It is expanding outward.
A new economy is forming, one that exists beyond the limits of Earth.
And what comes next may redefine the future of humanity forever.
A signal, not natural, not random, something structured. And once humanity sees something unknown, it cannot look away. because the next step is inevitable. We go further. Into the darkness, towards something we do not yet understand. Because what we find next may change everything we thought we knew.
The signal is getting stronger, and now it is impossible to ignore. What we are seeing is not a natural phenomenon.
For the first time in history, humanity is not alone in its discovery.
Everything we believed about our place in the universe begins to change. This moment may define the next chapter of human civilization. And what comes next may not just change Mars, but all of humanity. The discovery changes everything, but not in the way we expected.
Breaking news, the global anomaly signal has intensified.
What is that frequency?
Is this real?
Governments move quickly, but this is something no one prepared for.
On Mars, far from Earth, the reality feels very different.
For the first time, humanity is forced to question its place in the universe.
The signal is no longer distant. It is approaching. Humanity prepares to respond, but there is no clear strategy. And then, it arrives. In that moment, time itself feels like it stops.
And in silence, everything begins to change.
What we feared was never a threat. It was an invitation.
A connection that could unlock knowledge beyond imagination.
This is how humanity evolves, not alone, but together with the universe. But maybe this was never about Mars at all. Maybe